My parents skipped my wedding to help my sister move into her new condo when they co-signed with her using the college fund they took from me. Everyone at my reception asked where they were, and when my aunt played the voice message they left for her on speaker, the entire room went silent. I, 32 female, got married last summer in Madison, Wisconsin. It was a beautiful day in almost every way, except for one huge gaping hole: my parents didn't come. They missed it. On purpose. And not because someone was in the hospital, or because they got stuck in traffic or a freak storm rolled in. No. They skipped my wedding because they were helping my younger sister, Simone, 29 female, move into her new condo. A condo they co-signed on. A condo they helped by using the money they had once promised was for my college education. I know how that sounds. I know it sounds bitter and heavy, and believe me, I've gone over it 1,000 times in my mind wondering if I'm overreacting or if there's something I missed, some bigger reason. But I keep coming up empty. I keep coming back to the same gut-wrenching conclusion: they just didn't care enough to come. I'm the oldest daughter of Walter and Nadine Dalton. We grew up in a town called Clive, just outside of Des Moines, Iowa. Pretty standard small-town vibe. Think football games on Fridays, potlucks on Sundays, and gossip that traveled faster than text messages. My childhood was okay. Not perfect. Not horrific. Just okay. My parents weren't abusive, but they weren't exactly warm either. They were the kind of people who liked things to look good. Nice lawn. Clean house. Polite children. But feelings? Conversations about dreams, fears, support? That wasn't really a thing in our house. When Simone and I were little, we were treated mostly the same. We had the same clothes from Kohl's, shared a room for a while, and did the same piano lessons. But when we got older, favoritism started creeping in. Simone was always more sensitive, more emotional, and therefore required more of their time. If I got a 4.0 GPA, it was expected. If Simone pulled a B-, she got a full family dinner to celebrate how hard she worked. I started working at 15. My parents encouraged it and told me it was good for responsibility. When Simone turned 15, she didn't work. She focused on dance and social events. She's got a lot on her plate, they said. I didn't argue. I just saved what I could, studied hard, and applied for scholarships. My dream school was Northwestern. And I got in. I was so excited and nervous because of the cost. But I remembered that my parents had started a college fund for me. They used to talk about it when I was younger. I asked them if we could sit down and talk. That's when everything cracked. They told me the fund was no longer available. They'd had to use it for other things. I was confused. What things? Emergencies? Debt? They wouldn't say. I found out later, not from them, but from a bank slip my mom left on the kitchen counter, that a large portion of the money had gone toward helping Simone move into her first off-campus apartment at the University of Minnesota, and buying her a used Jeep. Apparently, she needed it more. I was crushed. I ended up taking out loans and grants and working 2 part-time jobs just to cover my expenses. I lasted 2 years at Northwestern before transferring to the University of Iowa, closer to home, cheaper. I was burned out, tired, and defeated. My parents didn't say much. They never apologized. I moved out the day I graduated and never looked back. Eventually, I got a job in Chicago in public relations. It didn't pay much at first, but I had peace. I was on my own. I built myself back piece by piece. Then I met Dorian. He was quiet, bookish, gentle in ways I didn't know people could be. He listened when I talked. Really listened. We dated for 3 years before he proposed on a freezing January night in Lincoln Park. I said yes before he even finished the sentence. We decided to have a small wedding in Madison, Wisconsin. Just close friends and family. Dorian's parents offered to cover most of it. They were amazing from the start. Supportive, generous, kind. Everything mine weren't. I called my parents after we booked the venue to let them know the date. "Oh, that's a nice time of year," my mom said. "I think Simone's looking at condos around then, too." I didn't think much of it. I figured, okay, they'll be busy, but they'll come. It's my wedding. A few weeks later, Simone called me, all bubbly. "I'm moving," she chirped. "Closing on a new condo in Uptown, right by the lake." That's great, I said, honestly trying to be happy for her. When's the move-in? Same weekend as your wedding. Isn't that crazy? My heart dropped. Wait, you're moving that weekend? Yeah. Mom and Dad are helping. We're skipping movers to save money. They said they'd come help me get settled. You know that's the weekend I'm getting married. There was a pause. Oh, right, she said, like she'd just remembered. Well, I guess they'll have to miss it. I didn't say anything. I hung up and called my parents. Are you seriously missing my wedding? I asked. My dad gave a long sigh. Arya, it's not ideal. But Simone needs us. She's moving. I'm getting married. Simone's nervous, my mom added from the background. She's never done this kind of move before. I've never gotten married before, I snapped. That didn't seem to matter. They told me they were sorry, but that Simone was going through a lot and really needed them. That it was just one day. That I'd understand someday. I didn't understand. I still don't. I didn't beg. I didn't cry. I just thanked them for the truth and hung up. The day of the wedding came. It was beautiful. Dorian looked perfect, his family was glowing, and I walked down the aisle without regret. But the questions kept coming. Where are your parents? Did they get lost? Did something happen? I just smiled and lied. They had a last-minute emergency. The reception was held at a converted barn with string lights and wildflowers everywhere. Everything felt warm, except for the growing pit in my stomach. Then my Aunt Marla came over. They left me a voicemail, she whispered. Do you want to hear it? I nodded. She stepped near the DJ's microphone, cleared her throat, and held up her phone. I don't know why she played it through the speaker. Maybe she was angry too. Maybe she thought everyone deserves to hear it. My father's voice crackled through the speaker. Hey Marla, just wanted to let you know we won't be at Aria's thing. Simone's move-in got bumped up and she really needs us here. She's a wreck. You know how she gets. Tell Arya we're sorry, and we hope it's a beautiful day. Oh, and if there's any cake left, save us a piece. Haha. Thanks. The room went dead quiet. You could have heard a pin drop. I looked around at everyone. Dorian's parents looked stunned. My college friends were wide-eyed. The DJ stopped what he was doing. Even the caterer froze in place with a tray of shrimp skewers. I stood up, raised my glass, and said, somehow without my voice cracking, to chosen family. Because sometimes the people who raise you aren't the ones who truly show up for you. Everyone clapped. But not like a party. Like a wake. The next morning, I woke up early. It was the first quiet moment I'd had in weeks. The sun was streaming through the hotel room window, and Dorian was still asleep beside me, his hand resting lightly on my shoulder like he could feel what I was carrying even in sleep. I stared at the ceiling for a long time, trying to process everything. I wanted to feel joy. I should have felt joy. But mostly I just felt hollow. My phone had 17 missed calls and voicemails from my mom and Simone. I didn't listen to any of them. Later, I checked social media, not for them, just out of habit, and saw Simone had posted a smiling picture of her standing in front of her condo with balloons tied to the railing. Thanks to my amazing parents for helping me get moved in. Couldn't have done it without you. 2 hearts #blessed #new chapter. It had 98 likes. One of the comments was from my dad, so proud of you, sweet pea. I didn't cry. I didn't throw away my phone. I didn't scream. I just turned off the screen and slid it under the pillow. Dorian stirred and asked me if I wanted breakfast. I said yes, even though I couldn't eat. I needed to do something, anything. We went downstairs, hand in hand, and ordered pancakes and eggs we barely touched. People kept coming up to me that day, offering condolences like someone had died. I can't believe they didn't show, one of Dorian's cousins said quietly. Are you okay? Asked my friend Jordan from college. Even Dorian's grandmother came over during brunch, gently placing a hand on my arm. Some people don't know how to love the right way, she said. But you're not them. I didn't respond. What could I say? That afternoon, we drove up to a little Airbnb on Lake Mendota that Dorian had booked as a mini honeymoon. We sat on the porch overlooking the water, not talking much. Just watching the waves. Letting the silence do what it needed to. I kept waiting to feel something: rage, sadness, grief. But it was like I had emotionally flatlined. I was so used to disappointment from my parents that this one didn't even surprise me. 2 days later, we drove back to Chicago. I went back to work. Send thank you cards. Wrote up a little post to share with friends online about our wedding day, carefully omitting anything about the voicemail or who was missing. But the silence from my parents didn't last. A week after we got back, I got a package in the mail. No note. No return address. Just a small white box with a card inside. It was a Hallmark wedding card. The kind with gold embossed letters and some generic poem inside. They didn't sign it. They just wrote, "Sorry we couldn't make it. Hope you had a lovely day." Underneath the card was a check for $100. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I needed the money. I didn't. But because that little piece of paper felt like the final insult. A token gesture. A quiet shrug. As if $100 could cover missing my entire wedding. As if that square of cardstock could erase what they did. I didn't cash it. I didn't send a thank you note. I didn't reply. I told Dorian, "It's funny how they only give when it benefits Simone. But when I ask for time, for presents, suddenly it's too much." He just nodded and held me. Then Thanksgiving came. My mom called 2 days ago. I let it go to voicemail. She texted after that, "We're having dinner at the house if you two want to stop by. Simone's making sweet potatoes." I read it twice, then deleted it. Dorian's parents invited us to their home instead. We went. It was warm, easy, filled with laughter and stories I actually wanted to hear. Nobody asked passive-aggressively about when I was having kids. Nobody looked at me with pity or tried to rewrite the past. Then Christmas. A card came in the mail. No return address again. Inside it said, "Love, Mom and Dad." Another check. This time, $200. I didn't cash it either. Around New Year's, Simone texted me a photo of her new living room decorated for the holidays. She'd tagged my mom in it on Instagram with the caption, "Mom has the best eye for design. Thanks for the help, I couldn't have done it without you." My mom commented, "Anything for you, baby girl. You always make everything beautiful." I read it again. Then I blocked them both. Not in a dramatic, burning bridges kind of way. Just, final. Like closing a book I was done reading. 4 months after, nothing. No calls. No texts. Just silence. And weirdly, it was the most peaceful time I'd had in years. Dorian and I started going on weekend hikes. I took up pottery. I got promoted at work. Life was full in a way it had never been when I was constantly trying to earn my parents' approval. Then in early spring, I got an email from Simone. Subject, "We need to talk." The message was short. "Hey Aria, things have been crazy. I know you're still mad, but I could really use your help right now. Call me when you can. Please." I didn't call. 2 days later, my dad called from a different number. I let it go to voicemail. "Hi sweetheart. Simone's condo is being foreclosed on. She's had a hard time with payments and, well, she's moving back in with us. Things are a little rough. Just wanted to let you know in case she reaches out. Hope you and Dorian are doing well. Love you." That voicemail felt like a weird full circle. I saved it. Not because I wanted to remember it, but because it was the first time in years he'd said "love you" and I couldn't tell if it was real or if he just wanted something from me. I didn't respond. I haven't. Over the next few weeks, the silence from my side remained unbroken, but I could feel them circling. Like vultures, not necessarily to hurt me, but hoping I'd step in and fix things. Again. Simone started texting every few days. First, it was vague, performative concern. "Hey, you okay? Just thinking about you today." Then it shifted. "I know we haven't talked in a while. I really need to talk. Things are a mess. Can we meet up? Just you and me? I miss you, Aria. I really do." Each message made my chest tighten, not from guilt, but from pressure. The pressure that had been quietly built over decades. That I was the one who had to hold everything together. That my role, somehow, had always been to absorb Simone's crises, make our parents' decisions okay, and just keep the peace. But for the first time in my life, I didn't feel responsible. And that terrified me. Because I had no idea what a life without that weight was supposed to feel like. I was starting to get glimpses of it, in the quiet breakfasts with Dorian, the laughter with his mom on the phone, the slow realization that not every family expected someone to bleed to keep things functional. Then came the voicemail from my mom. She never leaves voicemails. "Hi sweetie," she said, her voice falsely bright. "I'm not sure if you heard, but Simone had to leave the condo. It's a really complicated situation. She just... Well, things didn't go the way she planned. We're trying to support her, but it's been hard. She's very fragile right now. We're worried." A pause. I was hoping we could maybe meet up. The three of us. Just talk things out. Reconnect. Family should stick together, right? Life's too short. Anyway, call me back when you can. I didn't call. And I didn't feel bad about it. Because what she said, that life's too short line, I kept turning it over in my head. Where was that urgency when I was walking down the aisle without either of my parents? Where was that need to reconnect when they let me sit alone at my own reception? It wasn't about life being too short. It was about them being too selfish, and only recognizing what they had done when the person they had prioritized over everyone else started to fall apart. Dorian noticed I was quieter than usual. One night while we were washing dishes, he dried his hands and leaned against the counter, watching me. "You okay?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "I think I'm just done." "With them?" I nodded. "Then be done," he said, gently. "You don't have to carry any of this. You didn't create it." It hit me hard. Not because it was new information, but because it was permission. A reminder that I didn't owe my family a blank check of forgiveness just because we shared DNA. Still, despite the clarity, I couldn't help but feel watched. Not in a creepy way, but in that we know you're out there, we just don't know how to get back in way. I started getting friend requests on Facebook from distant cousins I hadn't spoken to in a decade. One of Simone's old high school friends messaged me, "Hey, your sister told me what happened with the condo. That's rough. Just wanted to say she's really lucky to have a sister like you. Hope you're doing okay." I didn't reply. But I couldn't stop thinking about what she must have told them. What version of me they were being fed. In early April, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. From Simone. It wasn't long. Just a page. "Arya, I know I've messed up. I know Mom and Dad messed up too. I know missing your wedding was horrible. I was selfish, and I won't try to justify it. I guess I just always thought they'd be there for me like they were for you, but now I'm realizing they were never really there for either of us, not the way they should have been. I'm scared. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who I am without them propping me up. I wish I had your strength. I wish I had your clarity. I know I don't deserve your help or forgiveness, but I guess I'm just hoping we're not completely broken. Love, Simone." I read it twice. Then again. I wasn't sure how to feel. It was more self-aware than anything she'd ever said. And yet, something about it still rang hollow. Or maybe it just came too late. I didn't respond. But I didn't throw the letter away either. I tucked it into a drawer in my desk, between my passport and some old birthday cards from Dorian. A maybe pile. Not a forgiveness, not a bridge, but not a door slammed shut either. About a month later, I ran into an old neighbor from Clive while grabbing coffee in Chicago. She recognized me instantly, even though I hadn't seen her since I was 19. "You're Nadine's daughter, aren't you?" she asked, sipping her latte. I nodded cautiously. "Oh, honey. I'm so sorry for what you've been through. Your mom mentioned some tension, but she didn't go into detail. Just said you were finding your own way these days." I smiled politely and said, "Yeah, something like that." She leaned in. "They really do miss you, you know." I didn't answer. Because the truth is, I don't know what missing someone means when you're not willing to show up for them. They missed me when I went to college, but not enough to help. They missed me at my wedding, but not enough to come. People always say, family is everything. But sometimes, family is a wound you learn to stop pressing on. Sometimes, the only way to heal is to walk away, not in anger, but in acceptance. And maybe, just maybe, the real family is what you choose to build after the fire. Something happened last week that shook me. Not in a devastating way, more like a final, long overdue shift. Like a door that had been quietly rotting on its hinges finally gave out and fell off. It started with an email. From a partner at a firm I used to intern for right after college. I hadn't spoken to him in years. He congratulated me on a recent campaign my team had led that went semi-viral, something I'd posted on LinkedIn. Then, in the last paragraph, he casually mentioned, "Small world, I ran into your sister recently. She applied for a marketing role with one of our subsidiaries here in Minneapolis." Small world, huh? I stared at the screen for a full minute. Simone was applying for marketing jobs now. That wasn't a huge surprise. Her degree had been in communications, but she'd floated from job to job, leaning on charm and connections. The real shock was that she was now trying to enter my industry, my space. After everything, she was stepping into the one world I had built completely on my own, brick by brick. I didn't respond to the email immediately. I sat with it for a while. Talked to Dorian about it. "Do you think she knows that's where I used to work?" I asked. "She might," he said. "Or maybe she's just desperate." That night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened an old Dropbox folder from my Northwestern days. It held every paper I'd ever written, every internship evaluation, every sample press release. I pulled up my final project, a branding strategy for a startup that had gone on to be acquired, and found something else tucked in there. A scanned copy of my scholarship denial letter from sophomore year. I remember saving it because I'd cried the night I got it. Not because I wasn't good enough, but because I knew exactly why I had to apply for it in the first place. Because my parents had used my college fund to buy Simone a car. And now, here she was, stepping into my field. There's a saying, success is the best revenge. But sometimes, success alone isn't enough. Sometimes, the full circle moment comes when the people who dismissed you, overlooked you, sacrificed you, find themselves needing what only you can give. And you don't. I waited 2 days. Then I emailed the partner back, "Hi Ken, thanks for reaching out. I'm thrilled you enjoyed the campaign, it was a big moment for my team. As for Simone, I wish her well, of course. I won't comment on her qualifications, but I'd encourage your team to thoroughly check her employment history and references. This industry's too tight-knit for shortcuts. All the best, Aria." I didn't lie. I didn't sabotage. I just gave the truth a nudge into the spotlight. 2 days later, he replied, "Thanks, Aria. That's helpful to know. We'll proceed cautiously." I never asked if they hired her. I didn't need to. The next week, Simone texted me again. "Guess you heard. Didn't get the job." Not really surprised. Things have been falling apart a lot lately. I don't know how you do it, how you always keep it together. I wish I had what you have. Not the job or the house or whatever. Just, your peace. That's when it clicked. She didn't know I had anything to do with it. And I wasn't going to tell her. Because the real revenge wasn't in humiliating her. It wasn't in slamming doors or burning bridges or posting cryptic quotes online. It was in knowing that I no longer owed her, or them, anything. That I had taken every injustice, every disappointment, every broken promise and turned it into a life worth being proud of. And that now, when they needed something from me, support, forgiveness, access, I had the power to say, no. Or even better, nothing. Weeks passed. Then, one day, I got a package. It was small. A padded envelope with my name in Simone's handwriting. Inside was a framed photo of the two of us as kids. I think I was 7, she was 4. We were sitting on a porch step in overalls, eating popsicles, laughing at something just out of frame. On the back of the frame, she'd taped a note, "I don't expect you to ever forgive me. I just hope you know I finally see what you saw all along." I stared at it for a long time. Then I stood up, walked to the closet, and placed the frame on the top shelf, out of sight, but not thrown away. Dorian came in a moment later and saw the package. "What was it?" he asked. "Something I don't need anymore," I said. We went out to the backyard. Willa was chasing dandelions barefoot in the grass, her laugh carried by the wind. Dorian wrapped his arm around me, and I leaned into his shoulder. And for the first time in my life, I felt truly free. No more proving. No more chasing. No more looking back. Just peace. And in the quiet that followed, I smiled, not because I won, but because I no longer had to play.